Good day, everyone. Before I begin with my topic, which is about the components of curriculum design, let me first share with you our learning objectives for today. So at the end of the lesson, students should be able to define and explain the 5 interconnected components of curriculum design and their rules in curriculum development, analyze and differentiate the function and interrelationship of the 5 components using the Matatag Curriculum Guide as an example, and appreciate the importance of coherent curriculum design and reflect on how each components contribute to effective teaching and learning. To achieve these objectives, we will take a closer look at what makes up a curriculum. So in our previous lesson, we learned about the elements of curriculum design, which are like the ingredients, things such as learner needs, societal demands, and the knowledge structure. But today, we go one step further. If the elements are the ingredients, then the components are the recipe. So this is how the curriculum is built, structured, and implemented. The components ensure that the curriculum is systematic, organized, and purposeful. So they serve as the link between the broad goals of education and what actually happens inside the classroom. So this idea is also supported by Ralph Tyler, who considered one of the fathers of curriculum theory. He explained that every curriculum must answer for an important question. What are the educational purposes? What learning experiences can be provided? How can these experiences be organized? And how can we know if these purposes are achieved? So these guiding questions form the backbone of curriculum design. With that in mind, let us now move on to the 5 interconnected components that shape every curriculum. Like systems in the human body, a change in one affects all the others. First is we have the needs of the learner and society. This is the foundation. The curriculum must always answer, what do learners need and what does society need? For learners, we consider their interests, abilities, and developmental stages. While for society, we look at the cultural, economic, and national goals. For example, the Matatag curriculum addressed the issue of overloaded topics by streamlining lessons so that learners can focus on essential skills such as communication and critical thinking. So this identified needs then serve as a basis for setting clear aims and objectives, selecting appropriate content, designing meaningful learning experiences, and creating assessment that ensures students are truly prepared for both academic growth and real-life application. Second is you have aims, goals, and objectives, this is the expected learning result are stated clearly. So this is the purpose of education. Aims are broad, long-term intention, like developing lifelong learners. Goals are more specific, usually tied to a subject or program, like helping students understand democratic values. Objectives are the most specific. These are measurable learning outcomes written in SMART terms. For example, as you can see in the picture above, this is an example of aims, goals, and objectives taken from the Matatag curriculum, grade 4 and 7. The first part shows the aim of the whole curriculum for one school year, while the second to the last part highlights the learning competencies, which is shown by the arrow. These competencies are provided for each content or topic to guide teachers in creating their own learning objectives for the lessons that they will discuss. That is why when you prepare a lesson plan, you will notice that the competencies are cited as the source, since each content or area already has its corresponding competencies. Third is we have content or the subject matter, which is the topics, units, lesson to be covered. This is the actual knowledge, the skills, attitude, and values taught to student. Content must be relevant to both learner needs and societal demands. It should also be organized logically, usually from simple to complex. Like for instance, in this part, we can see the content of the topic of the curriculum. As we discussed in the second component, each content area has its own competencies, and here, the content is directly aligned with the competencies provided. For example, the topic shown is for grade 7, quarter 3, and its selection is aligned not only with the competencies but also with the grade level and learning needs of the students. So the giving of topics is also organized logically, moving from simple to complex and from concrete to abstract to ensure that learning is progressive and appropriate for the learners. The fourth one is learning experiences. So this is how content is delivered. The activities and strategies teachers use to students can actually learn. So these methods must match both the content and the objectives. Like for example, if the content focuses on grammar, a teacher may use drills or guided writing. And if the goal is communication, maybe group discussion or role playing may be more effective. As John Dewey said, learning is most effective when connected to real-life experiences. So teaching methods should always be meaningful and engaging. The last component is assessment. So this is how we measure if learning has really taken place. Assessment can be formative, like quizzes, reflections, and class participation, or maybe summative, like project, tests, and presentation. So the key is alignment. If the objective is for a student to write an essay, then the assessment should also require essay writing, not just multiple choice questions. Effective assessment ensures that aim, goals, and objectives are met, and it also helps teachers refine content and learning experiences to better support student growth. So again, needs are to define what should be taught, aims, objectives is to set the direction, content is to organize the knowledge, and learning experiences is to bring the content to life. And the last one is assessment, which is to check if everything works. So now, what's important to remember is that these 5 components are not separate. They are interconnected like a system. So if you change one, the others are affected. For example, if content changes, you may also need to adjust your teaching methods. If assessment shows students are not learning, maybe the objectives need to be refined or the content reorganized. That is why studying these components is important because it helps us move from theory to practice, connecting what curriculum planners decide with what actually happens in the classroom. In the Matatag curriculum, we can clearly see this in action. It responds to learner and societal needs, sets clear goals, organizes content, suggests appropriate pedagogies, and defines assessment. The same interconnectedness can also be observed in other curricula such as the K-12 basic education curriculum and the programs under CHED, which all follow the same principles of alignment and coherence to ensure meaningful learning. Thank you for listening, and I hope this discussion gave you a clearer understanding of the components of curriculum design and why they are important.